Hello everyone, here are the top million and our new selection of amazing tops. Not all films are shot against the background of a green cloth, and not all scenes that look spectacular are made using computer graphics. Today, we will plunge into the world of cinema and remember the most outstanding tricks. Let's go. Let's start with Indiana Jones. The film In Search of the Lost Ark is one of the best pictures of the adventure genre, striking with the richness of fiction, the unique use of all kinds of visual effects, and an abundance of incredible tricks. The most spectacular one is associated with the episode of the Ark truck chase, where Indiana Jones, riding a horse, climbs onto the car and deals with the driver, and takes control of the truck. But the success does not last long, because the next moment the second opponent pushes Indy onto the hood, and he, unable to climb back into the truck, goes down under the car, crawling under it, and continues to drag himself, holding on to his whip. It is worth noting that this legendary trick was performed not by Harrison Ford, who played Indiana Jones, but by stuntman Taylor Leonard. In 1993, the film Rock Climber was released, starring Sylvester Stallone. The picture was full of the most difficult tricks, so about 36 of the best climbers and stuntmen in the world were involved in the filming. It was in this film that one of the most expensive and dangerous aerial stunts in the history of cinema was performed, and Salman Khan performed it. The essence of the trick was to move from one plane to another at an altitude of 500 meters. Interestingly, when Simon tried to insure his life before filming, all insurance companies refused to cooperate with him when they found out exactly what he would do. Due to the high risk, the trick was performed only once and cost $1 million. However, there is an opinion that Khan never managed to accomplish his plan, and the transition from one plane to another is just a clever installation. Nevertheless, the trick got into the Guinness Book of Records. Next up is Peter Berg's action comedy Amazon Treasure. The painting is literally packed with tricks. The most impressive moment of the film is the one where a jeep with the main characters flies off a narrow road at full speed and flies down a cliff. At the same time, passengers fall through trees and break branches, rolling down the hill. In the end, everyone falls into a small lake. An incredibly spectacular and very dangerous stunt was performed with the help of professionals. For the first time in history, stuntmen made an uncontrolled fall through trees from a great height. Fortunately, nothing serious happened to them, and the guys got off with only scratches after performing the trick the first time. A less dangerous, but at the same time spectacular trick was performed in the film The Beginning, which in 2011 was awarded for an unprecedented staging of a fight in a state of zero gravity. The scene required incredible technical tricks, but was shot very convincingly. For the filming, a unique corridor decoration was used, capable of rotating around an axis so that the fighting heroes could move from the ceiling to the walls. In this scene, actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt performed all the tricks himself, without resorting to the help of stuntmen. Next up is the invincible James Bond. Each film about him contains a lot of complex and spectacular tricks. The most impressive trick from the movie is the man with the golden gun. Many people remember him for a spectacular jump on a car with a 360 flip. It was performed by British stuntman Damswer and performed from the first and last take. Before filming, the movement of the car should be calculated 3 times on the most powerful computers of its time. Interestingly, this scene was conceived much earlier than the film itself, to the point that the producers of Banana officially patented this trick in order to avoid his film debut before James Bond performed it. Also, in the film Live and Let Die, the stuntman had to run over the backs of crocodiles, and in one of the takes he fell, and the reptile grabbed him by a crocodile skin boot. In the same film, Bond made a steep 34 meters jump on a motorboat. This trick immediately got into the Guinness Book of Records. Perhaps the greatest stuntman in cinema is Jackie Chan. The audience's favorite starred in more than 65 films and got into the Guinness Book of Records for a record number of dangerous tricks, of which there are so many that if you talk about all of them, you can shoot a separate documentary, which, by the way, the actor himself released, telling about the hard work of a stuntman. Among Jackie's tricks, it's hard to single out the best, because one is cooler than the other. For example, the fall from the pendulum of the clock in the film Operation A, performing which he paid tribute to the best actor, the trickster of his time, Harold Lloyd, who performed a trick from hanging on the arrow of the huge clock, a fairly tall building. Unlike Lloyd, Jackie fell off the clock and almost broke his neck. the actor himself considers the most difficult trick of his descent down the pole. In the film Police Story, Jackie had to jump on a pole from the top floor of a shopping center hung with garlands. As a result of performing the trick, Chen skinned his palms, damaged his pelvis and thoracic vertebrae. These injuries could have paralyzed the actor. Buster Keaton is probably Hollywood's main stuntman in its infancy. Despite the rich list of difficult episodes performed by Buster, experts single out, undoubtedly, one of the deadly ones in which the actor showed character and perseverance. In the film, The Steamer Beat, according to the plot, the wall of the house collapses on him, so that Keaton finds himself in a narrow window opening on the second floor. The slightest miscalculation could have led to a dramatic end. Keaton would have been crushed like cotton wool. Realizing how it could all end, most of the crew couldn't stand the tension during filming and just left. It is worth mentioning that Jackie Chan, inspired by this trick, repeated it, although the scenery falling on him does not compare with the wall collapsed on Keaton. Next, we have the legendary chariot race in the epic movie Ben-Hur 3. Months of construction, 15,000 people and extras and 18 chariots, half of which were smashed during rehearsals. MGM Studios spent $15 million on Ben-Hur, which is a record budget at that time, and a significant part of this amount was spent on the chariot race. At one point in the episode, the rushing horses jump over the debris lying on the way and the chariot flies up, almost throwing the rider under the wheels. Fortunately, the actor escaped with only a minor injury. As a result, the spectacular shot was left in the final version of the tape. The chariot chase scene many decades later, after the release of the film, still looks impressive. Number Wonder Ben-Hur was awarded 11 Academy Awards. The next film is Fatal Extermination. The trick performed in this picture would cause a huge resonance in our time, since in one of the scenes the villains who kidnapped the girl are trying to hide from the stunned mother while holding the child by the hair outside the car, rushing along the road at a high speed, and if something went wrong, everyone involved in this production would be responsible for the consequences, and no insurance would help there. Well, the bad guys to complete our top 10, where really spectacular tricks were performed. If Michael Bay had shot the second part of Bad Guys in the mid-80s, before the beginning of the era of computer graphics, then a highway chase in which the main characters chase bandits in a trailer loaded with cars would have gone down in the annals of history. However, Bay worked at the beginning of the 2000s. The effects were already available, and in the episode on the highway they were used, albeit to a minimum and only to create the illusion that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith were really in mortal danger during filming. In fact, only stuntmen risked their lives, and they really risked it, because during filming cars were really dumped on the highway, and drivers really had to dodge them. And yes, the boat dumped on the highway was also real, as was its explosion. That's it. Put your likes, subscribe to the channel and watch our previous videos.